Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with a weekly comic book roundup. We've covered most of this week's Marvel books. Just got one left, as well as this week's issue, or this month's issue of Magic the Gathering, and this week's Bat books. So we'll start off with our last Marvel book for the week: War of the Bounty Hunters, Forlom and Zuckuss. Excuse me. So, where we left off with our merry duo of bounty hunters, the Gand Definesman and the bounty hunter and his droid partner had been soundly defeated by Boba Fett, and in fact, Fett had seemingly destroyed Forlom's body and taken the head with him to confront Jabba the Hutt, and though only using it to confront Bib Fortuna. So, on Tatooine, a Jawa finds something. While on Nar Shaddaa, an injured Forlom limps his way through the alleyways until he makes it to Jaga's Music Hall and Petting Zoo. Where he explains to a frequent patron named Trot as to what happened. We later get a flashback of how the two worked together. In fact, they first came together working for David Lompop. On Tatooine, the Jawa shows their find to a traveler, while back on Nar Shaddaa, so there's a brief bit of trouble in the bar, but it works out. Though Zuckuss watching it makes him sad for the loss of his friend. We get more about the time Zuckuss and Forlom first teamed up, and we learn that the find was Zuckuss's head. And it seems that the bounty they first worked to take down is the one who the head is being brought to. Later, Zuckuss claims he can sense Forlom and runs after him, but he runs into... And well, yes, he runs into Forlom's head. The rest of the body is very much not Forlom and attacks Zuckuss, claiming Zuckuss must die. Eventually, Zuckuss and some of the denizens of the bar he had been at take down, at least manage to somewhat stop the creature, but namely they remove the control device from it, and but Forlom also Zuckuss senses something else. Dr. Kribriz, the bounty that he and Forlom had worked together to take down initially. However, it's explained that they did not take down Kribriz, but rather his brother, Sribriz. They looked very similar to one another, and well, the brother was a philanthropist and was there to tell Dr. Kribriz he wasn't going to tolerate his brother being a criminal anymore. But however, Zuckuss and Forlom mistook Sribriz for Kribriz and killed him. But he would eventually get his revenge, and try to, but Zuckuss takes another well-placed blast bolt and then frees Forlom of his control, but it shorts out the... it does kind of short him out a bit, and Forlom goes off into the city while leaving Zuckuss alone. Poor guy. And that is where the issue ends. Um, oh, I like adding to the lore, explaining how Forlom and Zuckuss first came to work together. I'm sure the expanding universe also has a tale. There's a tale somewhere within the expanding universe of how the two came to work together. What's interesting to me is that there's nothing in Empire to suggest the two of them were working together, and yet every bit of every various version of an expanded Star Wars universe basically says that they actually are working together. But I think it's kind of neat. I don't know where, like I said, I don't know how it started, but you know, one person saw that and everyone else said, okay, yeah, those two work together. Moving on to our next book, we've got Magic the Gathering, number 5, and as per usual, we've got the Planeswalker variant. This month's theme is white, and we get the Wanderer. I will admit to being slightly surprised. I was expecting maybe Elspeth or Ajani. Maybe not Ajani. Ajani is largely a white planeswalker. I want to say there are just as many multicolored versions of him. I know there's at least I want to say a red-green one, and there are a lot of white-green ones, which is, it's weird that it's not a red-white, but hey, whatever. Of course, it could be red-white. I could be misremembering. Anyway, so the issue begins where we left off. Our 3 intrepid planeswalker guild masters had discovered that maybe actually it have concluded that it wasn't Dimir, the Dimir that was behind the attacks, but rather someone else. And they confronted who they thought it was, but the rest of the guild pack came down on them, basically saying, yeah, no. You said it was Dimir, now you're saying it's them. Yeah, so the story isn't told in this issue's story is not entirely told in a linear fashion. Snippets of it are. Ral popping up in Innistrad looking for someone. Ends up in a bar that basically feeds travelers to werewolves. Turns out the end of the last issue was a week ago. They brought their findings to Niv Mizzet. Niv Mizzet was like, yeah, basically the same thing. Said first he has to Dimir, now he says this. Come on, everyone agrees it was Dimir, and there's all these attacks that have the Dimir, that have been signed by the Dimir. So it's the Dimir. Afterwards, after talking to Mizzet, the 3 go to Dominaria, meet Teferi, who suggests that they look for someone. But Ral leaves the owner of the inn that was feeding travelers to werewolves to the tender mercies of the fellow villagers after destroying the bar, or the tavern. On Ixalan, Vraska shows up, wanting to talk to a couple of the pirates who are apparently the best sources of gossip on Ixalan. Also, she missed her crew. Kaya goes to Amonkhet, but Teferi says about, when it comes to a name, again, it's largely, he's heard the name in question, the name of the god of these conspirators he's heard before, or rather read it in a book when he was a boy in the libraries of Teleria. Mentioned in passing, and and he didn't have much of an attention span in those days. But he explains it's ancient history even by his standards. The records referred to in the book occurred 800. The events referred to in the book occurred 800 years before his birth, in the Ice Age that followed the Brothers' War. But and Rao asks if he can find if the library still exists in Teleria, but well, Teferi explains that no, it was long destroyed, long ago destroyed. But he mentions someone who lived through the Ice Age. He doesn't know where she's at, but if they can find her and speak to her, they might get some information. Kaya, apparently he gave them some leads though. Innistrad, Ixalan, and Amonkhet, where Kaya ends up. On Amonkhet, Kaya has to deal with the zombified civilization that Nicobolus left in his wake. The other possibility that Teferi gave them was Kaldheim. An explosion shows they're on the right track, and they follow the explosion and find Jaya Ballard, the Undying Flame. Of numerous bits of flavor text throughout the first at least decade of Magic the Gathering. And so, but they ask her, they explain what's going on. There's a cult on Ravnica trying to summon their evil god, and three need her help. And so Jaya asks, so she's done a few gods in her time. What's this one called? Against the name, Merit Lodge. I presume that's how it's pronounced. Which is not apparent. Which seems to shock Jaya, and that is where the issue ends. Good issue, though. I kind of wish it hadn't have been that the various bits hadn't been scattered throughout, hadn't been scattered up like that. That's really the only complaint. Is just scattering everything. I don't, like having the 1 week or linear storytelling works the way it does for a reason. Though I will admit that I was a bit thrown off by the cover. I figured with them tracking down a planeswalker through various planes, it's the Wanderer they're going after. We'll get some history on the Wanderer, because, to be fair, my only exposure to the Wanderer, aside from this cover, was the card in War of the Spark. So, anyway, moving on to our next book, we are now we're now in DC, starting with Batman number 111. Also, before we get started on the actual issue, there was also a variant. There's apparently a Suicide Squad movie coming out this week, I guess, maybe. I don't know, it sounds fake. But, yeah. A handful of DC books this week have Suicide Squad variants. The only one that really popped out at me was the Batman one. So where we left off in Batman, the magistrate had raided the headquarters of the Unsane Collective, or of the Insanity Collective. And it was clear they were there to put a definitive end to the collective. So the issue begins, with the continued framing device of Batman being in the hands of Scarecrow before flashing back to what else is going on. So, but Miracle Molly affixes the sonic device that Squeak came up with to Squeak's neck, and has her eye basically tell her to scream. Which is enough to at least take down the magistrate, the peacekeepers for the moment, while Squeak and Miracle Molly make their escape. Those helping is also is Breaker, who takes on Peacekeeper 01 on his own, while Molly makes her way to the rest of the collective, and sadly does get grazed along the way. But turns out also Squeak has been shot too. But Master Wise explains that if Breaker were to fall facing Magistrate 01, Peacekeeper 01, he has no clue who would save them. And of course, the rescuers arrive in the form of Ghostmaker, Batman, and Harley Quinn. Harley leaping into the fray, saying, "That's right, everyone. You don't mess with the Bat family unless you want to get hit with a bat." Apparently, Ghostmaker decided that he likes Batman's friend after all, even though in the last arc he did try and bring about her death. But hey, baby steps. He hadn't gotten to know Harley then, Breaker, seeing them do their thing, even starts fighting Peacemaker 01 to say they're all to claim that the Bat family's insane. The drones are broadcasting what's going on, a headline has already popped up claiming Batman is sided with the villains of Gotham City, with people speculating mind control, theory, and as well as theories that he planted the bomb in City Hall. Breaker basically sacrifices himself so that the rest of the collective can escape aboard the Ghost Stream. But Peacekeeper 01 has been called off. Mayor Nakano makes a statement. Squeak is saved by Ghostmaker. And while Ghostmaker doesn't want the collective at his cave, the Haunt, Harley has an idea. Meanwhile, Batman's going after the Scarecrow, who's utilizing the ruins of Arkham Asylum. But Simon Saint basically says, "Hey, tell the Scarecrow, all right, hey, yeah, we'll fake an arrest for you, of you, and you'll come on as a consultant to make sure that this doesn't happen again." But Scarecrow basically tells him, "No. I'm going to truly make this city feel fear." And it also injects Peacekeeper 01 with more fear toxin than he's ever injected into a human being before. But Batman shows up, and now we get to the point where Scarecrow has captured Batman. Good A story so far. We are leading into the Fear State crossover between all the Bat books. Moving on to our B story, though, we got Ghostmaker on Double Skull Island. Lady Midas basically dropped the entirety of the underground tunnels of Double Skull Island on top of Ghostmaker. The Icon AI is trying to get a hold of him, but to no avail. One of the other villains speaks up, tells his story, how he wished to learn, he was curious about he wanted to feel the pleasure of death and see what profane doors might open in his mind. Dead end after dead end. Apparently, back of an opium den in the South China Sea, found an old explorer from Britain with black teeth who claimed to have been to Shambhala and stole a book. The book was called the Book of Pain. So, you killed the old man, took the book, and, learned of it. Eventually, he he got Ghostmaker, had him wrapped up, and then, but Ghostmaker explained he knew he had actually learned from the monks in Shambhala, and proves it. And but he explained that you know, it's not Ghostmaker to the rebel. If anything, it's simply his armor. Ghostmaker is already that at Lady Midas's doorstep and ready for all of them. And apparently, the Ghostmaker story will be concluded in the next Batman annual, which will be on sale in 3.5 months. No, I'm not joking. That's November 20th, so yeah, 3.5 months. And that is where the issue ends. The only problem I have with the B story is the fact that it's not going to be concluded for 3.5 months. A complaint I will lodge with it, though, is that by and large, there's a bad habit of not fully identifying each of Ghostmaker's rogues. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on to our next book. The Joker presents a puzzle box. All right. This is what I've been hearing about from its writer Matthew Rosenberg on quite a bit on Twitter the last few months. The Joker is being interrogated by Commissioner Gordon and Harvey Bullock. Turns out that earlier that night, almost all of Gotham's villains were at his hideout, seemingly throwing him a party. Mad Hatter, Black Mask, Professor Pig, Killer Croc, Two-Face, Killer Moth, Poison Ivy, Man-Bat, Harley, Mr. Freeze, Deathstroke, Penguin, Bane. He doesn't know why they were there. You'd have to ask them. But then, of course, Batman showed up and took everyone down. But it turns out that there's something else that Gordon wants to know about. Who killed the Riddler? Well, Joker's saying the Riddler wasn't at the party. Turns out that Gordon was called in fairly recently about everything, and well, yeah. But all of the costumes they captured are in the same holding cell, with the captain of the precinct hoping that maybe they all kill each other. When Gordon explains he wants to talk to someone, well, only Joker volunteers. But we get also some quick panels of each one talking as well. Let's see. Penguin, Two-Face, and Deathstroke are all pretty much all one legal lawyer. The Professor Pig claims he can talk to Joker, make him squeal. Scarecrow thinks the Joker robbed him. Mad Hatter's Mad Hatter. Harley explains that, Joker is a liar, so anything he says you really can't trust. Freeze wants to know why he's been arrested. Killer Moth volunteers to talk. Bane explains that the minds of the officers interrogating him couldn't comprehend the tortures that needed to make him talk. Man-Bat. Killer Catwoman wants her own cell. Ivy's a little bit pissed for being brought in. Black Mask offers a bribe. So Croc offers threats. But turns out that the Riddler found something called the Master Engine, with the aid of an archaeologist used for Cobra, or for the Cobra cult. But he found a key for it. Turns out that the archaeologist is all about cryptic stuff, and yeah, so. But Enigma, or Riddler basically asks, Joker, proposes a team up between the two of them, but Joker's not into it. It does suggest, however, that he does explain that after they talked, Riddler had a brilliant idea, and he hired Professor Pig, Bane, Black Mask, Killer Moth, and Harley Quinn. However, at the meeting place, Catwoman, along with Mad Hatter, Penguin, Two-Face, Scarecrow, and Man-Bat, were watching. One of the the leader of the quick response team is told to go into the evidence room and watch for something that was brought in from the scene. Apparently, the mystery engine is in a large bucket of water, and no one knows what's supposed to be there in said water or not. And that is where the issue ends. Interesting setup. From what I'm understanding reading solicits, it's supposed to just basically, each issue is going to have Joker suggesting that the murder was committed by one of the various other rogues. So it should make it an interesting read. Finally, we have our last book for the video, Suicide Squad: Get Joker, #1. Alright, so Suicide Squad: Get Joker focuses on our point of view character is Jason Todd, who's been arrested. It's after his time as Robin, meaning after his death and his rebirth as Red Hood. Apparently, however, he was eventually captured by police, and they weren't exactly friendly about things. He in prison, he killed a few people, a few more bad guys, and eventually got transferred to Bel Rev, where he had to deal with worse guys. And then one day, Amanda Waller comes to see him, basically recruiting him into the squad. For a very specific mission, killing the Joker. His team consists of Firefly, Gotham Arsonist, Silver Banshee, Pebbles, Meow Meow, Plastique, Wild Dog, Yonder Man, and Harley Quinn. So he gets the explosive put in his neck, and yeah, heads out. We find out that Wild Dog was arrested during the Capitol insurrection, but they make it to their contact on the ground. It turns out to be none other than Toyman, Winslow Schott, operating out of Gotham City Motor, or Junkyard. So but he passes along some intel, tells the squad a few things about that Waller may have left out, like, Joker's working with Russians. But they go to a underground gambling den. While they're discussing what to do, Harley simply just walks right in. Turns out the place is filled with the best described as cybernetically enhanced Russian mobsters. And it's not actually Joker. But the squad escapes with Firefly providing cover, and that's when the Russians is explained. Jason calls Waller. While they're talking, turns out the delivery that, Joker said the delivery call, and at least savagely beats Waller with a crowbar, if not flat out kills her. The home invasion is very similar to, including the outfits of Joker and his henchmen, is quite similar to Clockwork Orange. And so, Joker's got the control box, which he uses to activate the phosphorescent explosive within Firefly, burning him from the inside out. And leading basically everyone to agree, that everyone on the squad to agree that they're fucked. Okay, this has actually been this has been a week with two really great Joker-related books. I am impressed. I'm sure there's going to be someone in the comments saying that, I should be reading the Joker ongoing, and maybe I'll start checking it out the trade when the trades start coming out for it. But yeah, Suicide Squad Get Joker #1. Good stuff, good setup. It's going to be very interesting to see where that goes. Anyway, as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Well, that's it for now. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.